Okay, so before I move on from Jurassic Park, the game, I want to talk about something I find kind of interesting about the game, and that's the two dinosaurs that we never see in the movie, and they are the Troodon or Trudon. I think it's Troodon, the real creepy dinosaurs we see towards the end of the game, and then technically it's not called a mosasaurus. It's actually called something else. It's called a tylosaurus. Uh, so it's not supposed to be called the mosasaurus, even though that's what the characters in game call it. It's actually called something else. So the mosasaurus basically took all of its thunder, and that's why we see the mosasaurus in the movies nowadays. But I want to talk about these two dinosaurs just because I find it interesting that they weren't in the first movie, though I can kind of understand because I mean if you go look it up, they wanted dinosaurs that people would recognize, and of course I don't really think anyone would recognize a Troodon just because no one, unless you're like a heavy dinosaur fan or you really research dinosaurs, you would know them. But like your regular, like a regular person doesn't know what a Troodon looks like. They know what a T-Rex looks like. They know what a Velociraptor and other dinosaurs that other people know about. They know what almost, they know their basic dinosaurs is what I'm saying. So I can kind of understand why the Troodon wouldn't pop up in Jurassic Park. Now, the other reasons, probably because budget, they probably couldn't add in more. But I should also say this too before I continue. Obviously, these dinosaurs weren't probably even considered for the first Jurassic Park movie, but let's just say that they were considered for the Jurassic Park movie and they were just cut from the movie. Okay, I can completely understand why the Troodon would be cut from the movie. Uh, the first time we really encounter it, we don't really see it. We just see the glowing eyes. But then we see when the one female character in the game gets bit by one of them and just starts hallucinating. We see just how dangerous they are. And then later on, one of the rescue team members that Oscar and his friend Billy were trying to save, we see what it does to him. He just started to go crazy. So we start to see how dangerous the Troodon really is. But we really don't start to see it until like the very end of the game where we find Decaf. And that's the pilot that Billy and Oscar were with. But yeah, we really don't see just how dangerous and scary these dinosaurs are towards the end of the game. And I can understand why they wouldn't have made the cut because this thing was absolutely terrifying. I mean, it doesn't look like it doesn't look like a dinosaur. It really doesn't. And what they did to Decaf is actually just insane. Decaf, his whole body got turned into a nest. His like insides got ate out, and they just turned his body into a nest, laid eggs in his body. And I was just like, yeah, I can see why if like they were actually considering to add the Troodon into the movie, why it would get cut. Because this was actually just like awful to see. Because you wouldn't imagine a dinosaur would actually do this, though we don't know everything dinosaurs did millions of years ago, but this was just actually terrifying to see. Because you know what came to my mind when I first saw that? The first thing that came to my head when I saw Decaf's body turn into a nest was literally aliens, but like 10 times worse. Because the poison had like completely taken over his body. But you know what really terrified me was the fact that like did he still have senses, or because I remember his eyeball moving. I was like, so is he alive, or is he like brain dead? I can't remember what the doctor said, but absolutely terrifying what these dinosaurs did to him. So I can completely understand why, if they were ever considered for the first movie, why they would have got cut. Now, with the Tylosaurus, I would be kind of shocked that it didn't make the movie because of the fact that it's a sea creature dinosaur. Who wouldn't want to see a sea creature dinosaur in a dinosaur movie? Even if people didn't recognize it, people are still gonna say, "Hey, that looks cool." But again, it probably wasn't the Tylosaurus probably wasn't even considered for the movie just because, like I said earlier, they wanted dinosaurs that people would recognize, and I'm sure no one during that time would have recognized the Tylosaurus unless you were like heavily into dinosaurs. Uh, but again, I would think that regardless if people didn't know what type of dinosaur it was, I think people would still find it cool and interesting to see because again, like I said, it's a sea basically it's a sea monster. It's a sea monster, so people will always have fun seeing a giant sea monster in the water. People will always have fun. So I think it would kind of be cool in the first Jurassic Park movie, but later down the line we see it, even though it's actually the Mosasaurus in Jurassic World. We see it later on, but sadly, the Mosasaurus took all its thunder, and I don't think we've seen the Tylosaurus at all in any of the movies, which is kind of sad because I feel like any of the sea creature dinosaurs would work out in a Jurassic Park movie, like like the Loch Ness monster. Scientists have said that it's a what is it called? It's a dinosaur. It's like a plesiosaurus. It would be cool to see it in a movie. You got other sea creature dinosaurs. The megalodon, but that's a whole nother conversation. I can't think of any other ones. I'm sure there's more out there, but again, I am kind of shocked that we never saw these early in the Jurassic Park movies. But that's all I wanted to talk about. After this, it's Wolfenstein: The New Order, and I will see you next time. Peace.